There are beginnings, and then there is the end. This is a story of the end. The final curtain, the last hurrah, the big sleep, the final unavoidable existential event. It's the story of why the first thing we should understand about living is the inevitability of death, though death, our own or anyone else's, is always the last thing we contemplate. And so often when a friend or loved one passes, our immediate response to their passing is, "I never would have expected it." My partner, Travis, and I live on what he likes to refer to as an island in the Pacific. Balboa Island is situated in Newport Bay between the mainland and Balboa Peninsula and lying right under the airport flight path. In the calm of late evening after the air traffic has subsided, we like to take walks along the bayfront. We chat with residents, we befriend stray cats and sometimes offer them a tiny treat to ensure their continued friendship. We've let a lot of those island cats and only a very few select island people into our hearts. One of those people was Lou. I met Lou, or almost met him, the day we moved to the island. I turned the corner onto my one-way street and had to swerve to avoid his golf cart, which was going the wrong way. An octogenarian or nonagenarian with poor eyesight, I don't think Lou noticed the near miss. Lou took his daily half-block walk and then rewarded himself with a drink. Every time we crossed paths, Lou would ask, "When are you going to come by for a cocktail?" I always laughed and made some excuse. I was busy or late. One day he smiled at me and said, "You'd better hurry. I don't have much time." I saw Lou for the last time in the street in front of his home. He joked with paramedics. "I never rode in an ambulance before." It was the last thing you'd expect, losing Lou. Bunty lived on Grand Canal with her 5 cats. She had been a film actress in the 40s. Her door was always open to visitors, cats, and pigeons. Marlis of Laura Vance Realty remembered her.
I remember her being quite a character, actually, and she was taking care of the ducks in the harbor. And she was feeding them, and she was being real careful about it. She would hose off all the droppings that they created, but it got to be so much so that she wasn't able to keep it under control. She would let them hatch in her house, and she would protect them from the cats and the other animals. She was very animal oriented, and
Yes.
If you walked by and you didn't treat your dog properly in front of her, she would be very vocal about it.
She was very opinionated.
Very
yes.
opinionated.
Very strong woman.
Bunty was a very strong woman.
One day, Bunty needed help with her TV remote, just as Travis and I were passing by. We replaced the battery in her remote, for which she graciously thanked us. On our way out, she invited us to stop by again sometime for a glass of cheap red. After Bunty was gone, the oldest of her cats lived under a chair on the porch for weeks and weeks in the cold and rain. We were sure the cat was waiting for Bunty to return. Then someone took the patio furniture. The ducks stopped coming by. Maybe what we miss most about Lou and about Bunty is what we didn't have with them. We miss the times we never shared that cocktail or glass of cheap red. We miss that we never had a chance to get to know them better. What was missing from our lack of a relationship with them is what left us feeling empty when they left us. We almost had a chance to establish a nice relationship with someone when we met Patty, the then fiancée and later wife of our dear friend Mike Villani. Mike talked with us.
Patty had been diagnosed with cancer when you met her for about 2 or 3 months, totally out of the blue. She was a healthy 64-year-old girl. This was a mass on her liver, 70% of the right lobe of her liver. And we were told of this transplant specialist at UCLA. We went to him. He did an operation and got it all. But he came down to me the day that the operation occurred and said, "Mike, we were successful in removing all of the cancer and around the area." He said, "But the mass was so big, there's a 50-50 chance it'll come back." And it did, with a vengeance. One day, she wasn't well, and we put her in the hospital, and that was a Sunday. Remember, Wednesday was Ash Wednesday, and they were distributing ashes downstairs in the chapel, and I went downstairs and saw a priest that I know, and I asked him to come up and give Patty the last rites, being Catholic. And thank God that he did, because that Sunday, she died in my arms. It was something that I didn't think would ever happen.
Our island cat friends have left us too. Old Red and Mo and Callisto and Ankle Grabber are gone. We aren't sure about Tallulah and Three Lula and Drooly. But we need to keep in mind, just because they have 9 lives, it doesn't mean they'll live forever. I regularly wag my finger at Travis, admonishing him to write down what I'm to do with him when he dies. He tells me to put him in a trash bag on the corner, which I just might do if he doesn't get serious about his impending demise. Of course, I haven't done my homework either. Maybe I will, someday, later. We chatted with Mary Martin, another Balboa Island local who pretty much drove the whole point to its final resting place.
I'll think about it tomorrow. There, that's a good one.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's so good.
But I might be dead tomorrow.
No matter how you roll the die, your number will come up eventually. You can hope for a higher number, like say 20, and a place at the end of the line. However, the unexpected will come to pass. The last thing you'd expect, death, is the only thing in life you can expect.
This piece was produced by the Newport Beach Bunch as part of the 24-hour radio race from KCRW's Independent Producer Project.